Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
You once told me that you really wanted to find a girlfriend that, you would either watch March Madness with you or just not make you feel guilty about not spending any time with her, because you're only watching March Madness when it comes to these 3 weeks. So your current girlfriend, which is a fairly new relationship, you think it's going to pass that test?
I think so. She said to me today, she's like, it's Selection Sunday.
The Skip and Josh podcast is on now.
Hello.
Hey, Skippy.
Hey, great to talk to you.
How's it going?
I recovered from my trip to Orlando, and I'm back in Montreal, and then my home base.
Actually, I just realized you were here at my apartment for like a few hours this week.
Yeah.
And then I realized after you left that we should have recorded an episode.
We could have, but it was so weird because I had flight problems coming home from a business trip to Orlando, and I ended up getting stuck in Toronto. So I spent the night at Josh's place, but it was super weird, right? Because I only got there around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then I left at 7 in the morning.
So less than 12 hours.
Even before that, and I was so exhausted when I was there. So, but thanks for having me. It was great to see you, even for just a little bit.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
So, and then yesterday, actually, we were texting and we were considering recording yesterday, but you said you were dead tired. I haven't heard that expression in such a long time.
Oh, I was so tired. I couldn't keep my eyes open yesterday. I needed to have a nap.
Because of Matthew's basketball playoffs?
That was part of it, yeah.
So, in his bracket, how far did you have his team going?
I had them going exactly as far as they went.
Okay.
Which was win the play-in game and then lose in the second game.
That's unfortunate, but you were giving me updates and it sounded very exciting. It went into overtime. There was a buzzer beater.
It was really great. With everything going on in March Madness, with all the buzzer beaters and tight games and last second, crazy finishes. My son had a playoff game in his basketball league, was double overtime, and the other team actually hit a buzzer beater 3-pointer with no time left on the clock after the first overtime to prolong the game, which was a miracle in itself. And actually the starting 5 all had 4 fouls starting from the first overtime on my son's team. So him and all the other 4 players on the court all had 4 fouls throughout the whole 2 overtimes, and no one fouled out miraculously.
That's insane.
Yeah.
No, that no one fouled out, is insane.
They were. It was wild. It was really wild.
Grammar police.
All right, well, let's talk about NCAA basketball, or is it NCAA basketball? We should have a language police segment on our show.
Well, we've often talked about the grammar police,
yes, grammar police. Thank you for correcting me.
All-star and how to pronounce words.
Is it
and
finals
I don't know
or
how to
final?
I don't know how to pronounce words, but that's not a grammar problem. That's just I don't know how to say people's names or spell them. NCAA basketball, or like you said, I don't know if we're allowed to call it NCAA or is it NCAA. They want us to say it a certain way, but we'll say it how we want. I usually say NCAA.
College basketball.
Nonetheless, we're into day 4 of the tournament.
Yeah, it's been great.
I'm sure you've heard this before, but as you go further in the tournament, it actually gets less and less exciting. Like day 1 and 2 are the best.
Yeah.
And then day 3 and 4 are pretty exciting. But then when there's only 16 teams left, it's not as much fun because there's no day games next Thursday or Friday.
Right. The day games are huge on Thursday and Friday, especially for someone like me. I hope my boss is not listening who works from home. I just have the TV on all the time, so it's those day games are great, right? But I was texting you during the day, they were empty. The stadiums were empty.
A few of them were empty.
There was one game I was watching, I forget who it was, and I was like, there's nobody there. It was quiet. The announcers were quiet. There's a lot of empty seats just right behind the benches for some reason. I don't know that's always like that, but
the reason for that is because when you buy the tickets, you buy tickets for like the whole day. So you're getting tickets for 4 games. But really, you only care about one of those games. And so if the game you care about is the last game of the night, you're not going to go to that game that starts at noon. And that's why those seats are empty.
Unless it's hardcore like you and me, like just to let everybody know, me and Josh have actually been to the NCAA tournament, I think 3 times. Right?
Well, I went with you twice, I think. I went without you once.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure. I think we went 3 times. Like the first was like an organized bus trip, right?
Yes, that's right. Oh, you're right. We did go 3 times.
The second one, we kind of drove back and forth
with Rob.
And
the third one was with Sean and Jamie.
Exactly. Yeah. But we only went to one game that time with Sean and Jamie. We saw Duke lose to Florida, and then we didn't come back the next day.
And I went to one in Buffalo with someone else, not you.
Yeah. So it's such a great atmosphere. The first time we went, obviously, I think was the best, because it was the first round. All the others was the second weekend, right? And like you said, people come to see their teams, and there's a lot of seats reserved for the teams, the students and people from the schools, which sometimes makes it really exciting. What are your thoughts so far, like on the brackets? Like, I mean, every single person's bracket is busted with this Virginia business.
Yes, exactly. I'm not going to go game by game. I'll just tell you. I'll just tell you a few games that stuck out in my head.
Yeah, sure.
I watched the Michigan game last night. I believe it was the last game or second to last game of the night. And
me too. It was great.
And the guy I was watching with, there was like 3.6 seconds left, and Michigan had been launching 3-pointers the entire second half and missing every single one of them. And so my buddy says to me, even though they're in the huddle and during a timeout devising a play, my buddy says to me, yeah, they have no chance to win. And sure enough, they win.
Yeah.
Like 3.6 seconds is an eternity in college basketball, as you know, because a few weeks ago, a team had 0.9 seconds down by 4 and somehow won that game.
Right. I mean, what was frustrating, I mean, you saw at the end, the guys on Houston were lying on the ground. A couple of them were crying right after Michigan hit that 3. 2 things about that game. First of all, he was fouled when he shot it.
So he would have had a free throw.
Not
that he needed it.
He was fouled. They didn't call it, but it was definitely a foul. And second thing is, that play should never have happened. The guy missed 2 free throws right ahead of that.
Did he miss both?
He missed both.
Okay.
If he hits 1, they go up by 3. And then the buzzer beater only ties. If he hits both, they're up by 4, and the game's over.
Right.
But I mean, that's college basketball.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not. That's why they're not pro players. That's why they're in the NCAA, because they don't hit every single shot, right? Mm. What other games stuck out for you?
Well, I didn't see any of the Duke game against Iona, and then I saw the second half of the Duke game where they beat Rhode Island, and it actually wasn't really even a game.
No,
I was surprised how dominant Duke was, to be honest with you.
Some of the big schools are just blowing people out. Like Villanova hasn't had any trouble. Duke hasn't had any trouble. Well, let's forget about Virginia for a second, but who's the other number one? Well, North Carolina Kansas hasn't really had any trouble. North Carolina is like, there are some teams that are just advancing as they're supposed to, right?
Which happens.
Yeah. And then others are just, that South region is just, we talked about it so much on the last episode, saying how almost the South region was almost unfair to Virginia because they would have to go through Arizona and Kentucky. And how could Arizona be a 4 and how could Kentucky be a 5? It seemed like Virginia was being punished. And then sure enough, Virginia doesn't even get past the first game.
Neither does Arizona.
Neither does Arizona. But Arizona, you're right. Neither does Arizona.
Buffalo.
I was going to say, look, Arizona has a long tradition of losing in the NCAA tournament. All our lives, they've been basically, they're primed for an upset all the time. Mm-hmm. So is Virginia, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But
so is every team. I mean, there were a couple of years where Duke lost in the first round too, to Lehigh and Mercer.
Yeah.
So every team is susceptible to losing in the first round.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
But now Kentucky is probably laughing right now.
Well, Kentucky's certainly in a really good spot in that South bracket. Cincinnati also, who was the totally overlooked team there, right? Like no one gave them a chance. They're still around. And also Tennessee lost, right? They were the number 3 seed in that.
Right. So the
South
1
region.
is out, the 3 is out,
Yeah, and
the
the 4.
the 4 is out,
Yeah, you
So-
still have Kentucky.
and you still have
Kentucky is.
Cincinnati.
You're right. Kentucky. You're right. Kentucky's laughing because they have should be an easier road, and Cincinnati could make it all the way to the Final Four. It's kind of scary.
Yeah,
It's totally unexpected.
totally unexpected.
Did you see any Syracuse games?
No, haven't seen 1
No.
minute.
It's like, we both listen to a lot of podcasts. We both read a lot of stuff about college basketball, and I heard so often it's like, well, Syracuse, if they could just get past that play-in game, they'll probably win a couple of games because no one knows how to play against their zone, the zone that they run. And I was like, really? But talent usually wins out, And here they are, like just doing what Syracuse does. They probably shouldn't even made it into the tournament, and now here they are, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to the Sweet 16, but then they'll lose.
Yeah, well, look, they're eventually going to have to play. Well, they're playing today actually against Michigan State, right?
So I
we
can't
don't
see
know
them winning
what's-
that game.
Yeah, just to let everybody know, it's currently Sunday afternoon, and by the time this episode gets out and about, as they say in Canada,
Drops.
as it drops, it'll be most the games will probably mostly all be done, and we'll have a clearer picture of who's going where.
Michigan State's up 12-11 with 8:49 to go in the first half.
There you go.
So it's funny, none of the other games really stick out to me.
No, I mean
which is weird. I mean, actually, I do want to talk a little bit about the Virginia game because I was watching that game, and it was tied at halftime, which apparently that was the first time a 1-16 game was tied at halftime.
right.
And so I said to my buddies that I was watching with, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But both of them sort of like laughed me off and said, yeah, Virginia's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half starts, and I missed the first few minutes. Next thing I know, UMBC has like an 8-point lead early in the second half. And again, it was very early in the second half. But we stayed with that game even though we could have flipped around. And UMBC kept adding to their lead. And Virginia kept missing shots. And it was like everything that people were saying, if Virginia gets behind by like double digits, they're going to have a tough time coming back because they don't score so much. But they never get behind, so it never really matters. But now here they were behind in the second half by double digits, and sure enough, they couldn't come back.
They just blitzed them. That UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, they just blitzed them. They just came out, shot a whole bunch of threes, hit them all, and then Virginia got out of what they normally do, right? Like, because you said they found themselves in an unfamiliar position, right? I feel bad, their coach is getting a lot of criticism for the style of play, and they're saying, oh, his game, the way he plays, you can't win, and I just think it's nonsense. They had a great year. They won the ACC by a mile. They won the ACC tournament easily. So like they beat Duke, they beat North Carolina, they beat everybody. They beat top teams this year, you know,
did.
and they just got blitzed by a team that came out firing, and a lot of it's mental, I'm sure, because the number one team obviously feels all the pressure when they're up against a 16 and it's not going well. You start to say, oh my God, what's going to happen? And, but I think Virginia will bounce back. I think he's a great coach, Tony Bennett, and I think Virginia's come a long way in the last 5 years, and I think the future is still bright for Virginia basketball.
They had that injury, which people didn't really talk too much about. There's the top sixth man in the ACC is out for the rest of the season. And had he been there, it would have made a difference for sure, because he would have been guarding the guy on UMBC who scored all their points.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, they still lost by quite a bit, right? I mean,
right. I mean, you heard the stat, I'm sure, that UMBC scored in the second half alone 53 points, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Virginia averages points against for the whole game. Their average is 53 points.
Yeah.
So obviously UMBC did something right.
Yeah. I mean, I got something on Twitter today by our old buddy, John Feinstein Jr., right?
Yeah.
I follow him on Twitter, and he was defending Tony Bennett, basically saying...
Well, you're not going to change your style of play once you get this point.
Exactly.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like he quoted Dean Smith, who said, other teams give scholarships too, right? Like the other team are not a bunch of stiffs. Yeah, they're not highly touted, whatever, but they're there to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're there to play, and you can never take anybody lightly. So the other thing that Feinstein really wrote, what I really wanted to say, is that Tony Bennett's been at Virginia for 9 years, right? And he's getting a lot of criticism, like how come they can't get win a couple games in the tournament? How come they can't make a run? And then this is what he wrote, which is great. I didn't even realize all this. Dean Smith needed 21 years to win a title at North Carolina. Krzyzewski needed 11 years to win a title at Duke. John Wooded needed 17 years at UCLA and 16 years to make it to the Final Four. So I hope Virginia just stays the course because they're on the right track. You know, this like the old adage says, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Hopefully they'll, you know, if you're a Virginia fan, you know, you'll come back strong. What's cool about that matchup is people didn't realize geographically the proximity of the two teams.
Yes.
Right?
Virginia and Baltimore are not that far from each other.
They're right in each other's backyard. So like the schools are definitely aware of each other, you know, and often probably trying to recruit a lot of the same local kids, you know? I wanted to ask you one thing. So it's more of like I like your opinion. Obviously, there's more and more threes being shot than ever in the NBA and now in college basketball, right? Because all these guys grow up watching Steph Curry and James Harden, and you know we're in now the era of 3-point shooting. You know, every single year in the NBA, the number of 3-point shots goes up, right?
Yeah,
I don't have
very
the stats.
Similar to all the home runs in baseball.
Yeah, but it's different. It's similar in that the numbers are going up, but here's like a choice, like it's a game plan, you know, like when you watch the Houston Rockets play, it's like the game plan is shoot as many threes as possible, right? And so now there's kids, and we're seeing it in college basketball, a kid like Trae Young, who obviously has modeled himself after Steph Curry, you know, so the number of threes being shot in this tournament is higher. It seems like it's a lot of teams just launch a lot of threes, but now they make them, you know, like they're getting better at them. So do you think it's time to move the college 3-point line back a little bit?
Before I answer that question, I'm going to say one thing. With all the additional 3-pointers that are being taken and made in this entire tournament this year, there's only one team that has cracked the 100-point barrier, and that was Xavier in their first game.
Well, so there you go. Okay.
Although in fairness to the college players, they only play 40 minutes and the pros play 48.
Right. I mean, typically the scores are lower. The shot clock is, you know.
But to answer your question, which I avoided,
it's okay.
I think, yes, that the 3-point line should be moved to the same distance as the NBA, and I'll tell you why. The height of the net is the same distance as the NBA.
Right.
The free throw line is the same distance as the NBA. The
love
size
it,
of the
Josh.
court is the same distance as the NBA. So why is the 3-point line different?
It's a great take, actually. Leave it to you to get the most logical type of response. I never thought of it that way. I'm just thinking of it. I agree. I think it should be moved back. Same as NBA, not the same as NBA, but still further back than what it is. Because when you see teams now, you come out and you're playing a zone, like they could just shoot over it. No matter what defense you do, these guys now can just shoot over you.
I don't think also if
it needs
they
to be a
moved
little more difficult.
If they moved it further back, I don't think it would change too much, like the amount of scoring, because a lot of these guys who can shoot threes, you see them sometimes they shoot it from NBA range and they get it in.
Well, look at the shot from Michigan yesterday.
Exactly.
He was 30 feet away.
Yeah, well, he just had to launch that because he had no time left. But
yeah, but he didn't heave it up. He shot it like a regular shot. He didn't like throw it one-handed. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious, like, what you thought about that, because I think I think we're getting to that time where it's got to be moved back, and like you're only going to see more and more of these players coming up into college basketball that are like modeling their game after Steph Curry, James Harden, where it's like limitless range. You know, they don't care how far it is. You know, they're going to shoot from wherever.
And by the way, it's a good strategy to shoot threes, and I'll tell you why. Because even if you only hit half of your threes, you're still going to score more points than if you hit, let's say, I don't know, 60% of your twos.
Well, it's a mathematical thing.
Yeah.
Like, can you hit 40% from three? Normally, if you can do that, which as a team, most teams can't get to, but if you can hit that 40% from three, then by all means, chuck it up. I mean, but like, not every 3-point shot is equal. Sometimes there's a guy in your face, sometimes you're wide open.
Right, but also sometimes a 2-point shot you're being contested as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. The field goal percentage and field goal percentage and 3-point shooting percentage is just that. It's a percentage, but not every attempt is equal.
In fact, I'm going to go to the far extreme and say the only time you should take a 2-point shot is if it's a dunk or a layup right under the basket.
Well, look,
that's what I'm going to say.
You don't play video games,
and I don't play basketball either.
But like when I for a couple years ago, I was super addicted to NBA 2K14. When my son was playing, I actually had my own ultimate team going on, and I got fairly good at the game, for a dad, let's say. And when you watch the kids play the video games, that's exactly the strategy. It's threes and dunks. That's what they do when they're playing the video games. You take a three. If you can't take a three, well, you try to dunk. Mm-hmm. You don't take mid-range. The Larry Bird mid-range shots from the 80s, that doesn't exist anymore, So... All right, before we just change gears and leave college basketball, I wanted to give a little update on the bracket challenge.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, the miracle of all miracles is that Sean Button, friend of the show,
who never listens, by the way.
Well, actually, that's what I was going to say. Maybe he's not a friend of the show. I think he's more like a frenemy. Like he's a friend and we're great friends, but like he never listens. And so he's not going to hear any of this. He actually knows nothing about college basketball. He emailed me when he submitted his pick saying, I know nothing. And he picked completely randomly. He just picked whatever. And he picked one of the cleanest brackets I've ever seen in my life. Like, do you see his bracket?
Yeah, there's not a lot of red
there.
He's looking good.
It's all green. It's all green. It's sick. So Sean is kind of comfortably in first. For a little while, Rob Bobot, who was our guest on the March Madness extravaganza last week, had passed him for first place. So Rob's currently in second, Sean's in first. But like you said, you've analyzed the brackets pretty much, and it's going to be tough for Sean not to win because, and especially I looked at it more closely this morning, and he has Cincinnati going to the Final Four, and we just talked about the fact that Cincinnati has like such an easier path now that Virginia and Arizona are both out. So just goes to show you really, the fun of this tournament is like Sean, who knows nothing, is in first. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm in third. So
nice.
No. Just want to brag a little bit. I am in third. I picked Villanova to win it all. So the guys who are ahead of me don't have Villanova. So I do have a little bit of hope, but it's tough to make up those points. Sean really racked up a lot of points, so.
This is my worst year of picking. Usually, I don't win often, but usually I'm close. This year, I'm completely out of it. I'm in 23rd place, and I don't have a hope.
We have it was a big bracket challenge. We had a big turnout for the registration, so thank you for everybody that submitted a bracket.
In the West and the Midwest, I'm doing well. In the other regions, I'm doing awful.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes.
Exactly.
I mean, like you said, sometimes the more you know, the worse it is.
Absolutely.
Because the more you know, it's like that in every sport, honestly, like when you're picking fantasy pools or drafts or whatever. Because when you know more, you go with your heart, like sometimes you're making decisions that are irrational in a way, because you're like, oh, well, I'm going to take Duke because I love Duke, and or I'm not going to take Arizona, or I am going to take Arizona, or I'm going to take Kansas because they're always good. Like, things from past tournaments that affect your picks that maybe you shouldn't be taking into consideration,
Agreed.
Gambling. Please bet responsibly.
Okay, so now we get into the wagering segment of the show.
Wagering?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So because my bracket was busted, I decided to compound my issues and play Proline.
What?
Yes, I decided to play Proline.
For all those listeners who are not from the province of Ontario, Proline is an Ontario lottery legal sports betting. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So what did you do?
in Quebec they have mise au jeu. It's the same thing.
Yeah, in Quebec we have our own version. Yeah.
So anyway, so yesterday, what I wanted to do, and it's a little frustrating. What I wanted to do was I wanted to just pick the 8 college basketball games that were being played yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to pick those 8 games, and I didn't want to pick against the spread because it's too complicated in basketball, and there's always these last-second shots that change things. So I just wanted to pick winner and loser, all 8 games.
Right.
So Proline has 3 different types of games you can play. You may or may not be aware. I'll just recap them for everyone. So the first game is where you do just pick the winner and the loser, and you have to pick a minimum of 3 games, but the maximum is 6 games. However, there's a caveat. So let's say you're picking the, Virginia UMBC game, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to say, is Virginia going to win by a lot? Is Virginia going to win by a little? Is UMBC going to win by a lot? Is UMBC going to win by a little? Or is it going to be a tie game?
Okay.
So now their definition of winning by a little is 6 points or more.
Oh, okay.
And their definition of winning by a lot, I think, is 9 points or more.
Okay.
And their definition of a tie is it's within 5 points either way.
Oh, that's a tie?
Yeah, so it's not actually a tie.
Well, I guess you can't have a tie.
You can't have a tie.
Yeah.
So even though you're not picking against the spread, you do have to say what they're going to win by if you want to play this type of game.
Yeah, it's sort of a spread.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. Yeah.
So I didn't really like it. Plus, the maximum is 6 games, and I wanted to pick all 8 games yesterday. So I didn't.
So what did you do?
Well, I didn't play that version of the game. There's
Okay.
2 other versions. The second version is against the spread. So you can pick as many games as you want, anywhere between, I think, 2 and 12 games. And you have to pick against the spread. The more games you pick, the higher your
more you
winnings
win.
will be.
Yeah, sure.
The problem is if you pick 9 games or less, which most people do, you have to be perfect.
Well, that's crazy. Okay.
Exactly. If you pick 10 games or more, you're allowed to make a mistake.
10 games or more. If you're picking 10 games or more.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So what did you bet?
Well,
So
hold
what
on,
did you
hold
do?
on. I didn't play that game either because I didn't think I could be perfect, and B, I didn't want to pick against the spread.
Right. I wouldn't want to either.
So then there's the third and final version of their game, which they call pools. So what it is they give you a group of 10 games. Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 12, whatever. But they give you the games. So you have to pick every single game in their group.
Okay.
And you just have to pick winner and loser, which is the good thing. So there's no spread involved. But there were only 8 games yesterday in college basketball. But they added 2 other games. 1 game from the NIT and 1 game from the CIT, which I'd never even heard of.
CIT? What's that?
It's another tournament.
Okay.
So anyway, so to bring the total up to 10 games. So I had to play those 2 other games that I didn't really want to play.
Okay, first of all these 3 types of games that you described, they all sound terrible, and I don't think I would play any of them.
I agree. But the good thing about this third one is it's only $5 to play, number 1. And number 2, you're playing against everyone else who's playing. So in other words, you just have to be the best out of everyone that's played. You
Okay.
you don't have to be
get
perfect.
all 10 right. You just have to get
You
the
just
most.
have to be the best. And so
Right.
let's say I am the best and there's 2 or 3 other people that are also the best, then we, the 3 or 4 or 5 of us, split the winnings equally.
The winnings meaning all the people that bet on that group of games.
Correct. So you usually end up, if you win, winning like $20,000, $30,000 for a $5 investment. That's nothing.
Wow. I like the sound of this.
So I do
Okay,
like.
So what happened?
I do like the sound of it. Again, the only issue was that I had to pick those 2 games that weren't March Madness games.
Mm-hmm.
So I did pick all those 10 games, and I picked just win or loser.
Yeah.
And of course, the first game of the day was at noon. It was in the NIT. It was Penn State versus Notre Dame.
Okay.
So I'm not following the NIT, but here's what I know. Notre Dame is the number 1 seed in the NIT. Notre Dame was one of the last 4 teams that didn't make it into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Plus, in the NIT, the higher seed plays at home, not neutral site.
Oh, wow.
Plus, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day.
That's a huge thing.
So I picked Notre Dame. All they had to do was win, and they lost.
Oh my God, that's great.
So I had the first game wrong. Anyhow, then there were the 8 NCAA games, and then there was that CIT game, which I got the CIT game right somehow. I was lucky.
Okay.
With the 8 NCAA games, I was 7-1.
Oh my God, so that's great. So you got 8 out of 10.
I know, but I didn't win because I think somebody got 10 out of 10.
Oh, that sucks.
So anyway,
8 out of 10 seems like a good score, but I guess there's so many people playing that there's bound for someone to get all of them right.
Right. So anyway, so that's what I did yesterday. Today, I decided I only wanted to pick those 8 games. I didn't want to do this thing that I did yesterday.
Since when are you such a gambler?
I'm not. But it was $5 yesterday, $5 today, whatever.
Yeah.
So today I played the point spread game. I didn't play this other one. I played the point spread game so I could pick exactly the games I wanted to. So I picked the 8 NCAA March Madness games. And, well, you know what they are. I'm not going to tell you. But I had to pick against the spread.
Right.
So, of course, the first game is Butler-Purdue. And the spread, Purdue had to win by 3.5.
Okay.
By the way, the game is over. Purdue won by 3. I said Purdue would cover. They didn't. I'm out because you have to be perfect. So I'm done already.
Oh my God. 3.5.
First game of the day, and I'm already done.
Okay. There goes the ticket. Tear it right up.
So that is it for our wagering segment for today.
We here at the Skip and Josh podcast would like to remind you that if you do bet, please bet responsibly.
Yes, or don't bet at all.
Yeah.
Uniforms.
So now we can move on to our next segment of the episode.
Yeah, sure. What did you want to talk about?
Uniforms.
Uniforms?
You know I love talking about uniforms. I managed to get it into every episode.
You really do. When I look back at, this is episode 84. When I look back at the last 83 episodes, there's at least 20 where you talk about uniforms.
Maybe more.
And maybe more. So what uniforms caught your eye this week?
So it's not so much which uniform caught my eye, but did you watch any of the Canadians-Leafs game yesterday?
Not 1 second.
Okay, I didn't see any of the game either, but I saw the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know what happened in the pregame warm-up. Did you see what happened?
No.
In the pregame warm-up, Brendan Gallagher, Jeff Petrie, Arturi Lehkonen,
I saw a picture of this on Instagram.
and one other player on the Habs, it might have been Galchenyuk, were all wearing Thomas Plekanec turtlenecks during the warm-up to honor him. And I thought that was hilarious. And Plekanec thought it was hilarious too.
Well, I mean, it was his first game back at the Bell Center, right? In a Leafs uniform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Cool. No, it was in Toronto.
Oh, sorry. It was in Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time the teams are playing each other, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So anyway, the Canadiens lost 4-0, which is no surprise.
No. I mean, I've completely tuned out of the NHL right now, to be honest. I don't even know what's going on. When the playoffs, I know the Leafs are hot right now. They've won how many games in a row? 11 or something?
11 home games in a row, I think.
Yeah,
or 12.
they're very hot right now, the Leafs, and the Canadiens obviously suck. But when the playoffs start, I'll re-examine everything. I'll get back into it. I'll start to watch some playoff hockey, and we'll go from there. But right now, I've regular season, game, game 70. I'm not glued to it. Let's just say.
From the little I've seen of Charlie Lindgren, I think the Canadiens could trade Carey Price.
He's okay.
He played great yesterday. I saw the highlights. He stood on his head. If it wasn't for him, it would have been 8-0.
The National Football League.
So the only other thing we have left to talk about is NFL free agency.
Yeah. I mean, look, the TV's been on in my house nonstop since Thursday. It basically stays on all the time.
Well, you never leave the house because you work from home.
On college basketball. It's just been on all the time. But it was been a really interesting week since we recorded last and today in terms of NFL free agents. It's been busy. One thing about the non-guaranteed contracts in the NFL is guys just get cut, right?
It stuns me. I don't recall an off season as active as this off season, and maybe I say that every year, but it stuns me that guys like Jordy Nelson gets cut, and all these supposed all-stars just get cut. Teams just let them go for no reason, for nothing. They get nothing back for their asset. It kills me.
The NFL free agency is busy often, and there are always guys that get cut, And it is the veteran type of players like Jordy Nelson, whatever, that often get cut.
Richard
But I
Sherman's
agree with
another
you.
one.
Yeah, but I agree with you. We haven't seen an off season like this with big names like Jordy Nelson, Richard Sherman. This is huge. Like these are players in their prime still. Well, I don't know about Jordy Nelson. Maybe I was thinking about it. Do you think that there's more teams that are influenced by like the Bill Belichick kind of philosophy of managing a team where they're completely ruthless, and it's like if they don't think that you're going to ever be 100% healthy or you're ever going to be at the level that you were at, you're gone,
I mean, maybe, but even if so you cut a guy, you need to replace that guy with someone else.
Yeah, well, that's what the draft is for.
And whoever you replace him with, you're going to have to pay that guy also.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not sure that you're ahead of the game at the end of the day.
No, I'm not sure either, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Now, I don't know what the Seattle Seahawks are doing. Their team is completely dismantled. I feel bad
they seem to be like giving up on their team and they're kind of starting over,
I mean, they actually, some people, I think you were one of them, said last year that they would make it to the Super Bowl.
Well, a lot of people thought that they would, but now it seems like that's finished, like that's over now. So they're not even going to be the favorite in the division. I mean, I think the 49ers are going to be most people are going to pick the 49ers ahead of them in that division. And of course the Rams, who are like one of the most active teams. The Rams are signing all kinds of guys, right?
So I need to ask you, first of all, I was going to say I feel bad for Russell Wilson because he's got nobody left on that team.
Yeah.
And he's not exactly old.
No, he's right in his prime.
So if they are rebuilding, they're going to have to do it pretty quick before the Russell Wilson window closes.
They are going to, yeah. Yeah, so, I think it's too late. I don't know what they're going to do.
So here's what I wanted to ask you. So listeners on this show may not know that even though you're a big Eagles fan, you're really a San Francisco 49ers fan. And what the listeners do know is that you don't like Richard Sherman. Well, he is now on the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, this happened to me already with this similar situation happened a couple of years ago when Chip Kelly was the coach of the Eagles, and my son was just screaming at the TV every day, like, when can this guy be fired? And then, of course, he does finally get fired, and then the 49ers sign him. And thankfully, that didn't last very long. I don't know. He's going to have to win me over. Well, the whole team's going to have to win me over because, like, I became an Eagles fan because of my son. And because the 49ers sucked, but like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to change that, and I'm going to give him a look. But yeah, I don't like Richard Sherman. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, well,
he's gonna. I don't know how I'm gonna feel till the season starts, but I'm definitely gonna have a hard time rooting for him. That's for sure.
So my next question for you is, the Eagles who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Have been very busy. Considering they're a Super Bowl winning team, you would think they wouldn't want to change too much.
Well, they were one of the few teams that had they were like quite a bit over the salary cap. I think like $10 or $11 million. So they needed to get busy, but they made some great moves.
Well, I want to ask you about Michael Bennett in particular. Did you like that acquisition?
It was great. I loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was fantastic. He's 32 years old, so they got a guy that the Seahawks basically gave him away for nothing. They gave a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick to get Michael Bennett. And we'll see, like, how their defensive line is already the strength of the team. So like he's just going to fit right in where they rotate guys around and like it was a perfect acquisition for the Eagles, to be honest. Although like they didn't address all their needs, that what they really need is a linebacker, the Eagles. So I guess they're going to try to address that in the draft. But yeah, I thought it was great.
And so the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is so that the Chiefs they traded Alex Smith to the Redskins. This happened like a month ago or something.
Yeah, longer than that.
So then the Redskins obviously decided that they were going to release Kirk Cousins, which they did.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know about release, but he's just a free agent, right?
Right. Yeah. Sorry. So he's a free agent. And then, of course, the Vikings signed Kirk Cousins, which meant that all 3 quarterbacks that the Vikings had last year, who, by the way, could have been starters on other teams in the league, and the Vikings had 3 of them. Yeah. They let all 3 of them go. And now I believe Sam Bradford's on Arizona. Right. And
Keenum's on Denver.
Case Keenum's on Denver, and Teddy Bridgewater is on the Jets, I think.
Yeah.
So this whole quarterback carousel is insane. I mean, you're going to have potentially, half the teams in the league next year might have a different starting QB now.
A lot of them. And now what's interesting about the Jets is they just made a trade yesterday where they traded a bunch of draft picks to move up in the draft to get the third pick. So everyone's now just assuming the Jets are drafting one of those quarterbacks, like Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold or whoever. One of them. I don't know which one they have their eye on. But certainly, I think half the teams in the league are going to have new quarterbacks.
I forgot to mention that the Bills...
yeah.
I don't know if they traded or they just let Tyrod Taylor go.
Yeah, he's on Cleveland now.
And the Bills acquired. Did they acquire AJ McCarron?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, AJ McCarron.
Okay.
Who I think has been very underrated and kind of languishing as the backup for Andy Dalton, but I always felt that he had potential. You know, like I'm glad that he's gonna be on a team that's gonna like at least give him a look. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, considering how average Andy Dalton has been for Cincinnati, you know, so like that they never really gave AJ McCarron like any real look other than, you know, when Dalton was hurt, you know. So
anyway,
I just think the most interesting thing we're gonna look at in the league this year is gonna be Kirk Cousins. I really like. I don't think Minnesota's any better with Kirk Cousins than they were last year with Case Keenum, to be honest.
Well, if you go by their stats, I think Keenum had better stats.
He did, yeah. Like if you forget about the stats, like I mean, the stats are a way to measure the play, but like if you look at like the level of play that Minnesota got from their quarterback, it was a high level of play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Kirk Cousins is gonna be higher than that. Like I think Kirk Cousins is perfectly fine. Would I ever pay him the amount of money that they are paying him? Never, ever, ever. If I was an owner,
And it's a guaranteed deal, apparently.
It's usually you see in the NFL, there's like, oh, he signed for 6 years, right? And it's a huge number. But then you find out there was only 3 years guaranteed. Well, he only signed a 3-year contract and all 3 are guaranteed. So they owe him $90 million no matter what, which is like, think about that. That's nuts, right? I'm happy for Kirk Cousins personally, like because I felt like the Redskins screwed him for the last 3 years.
I don't think they did. I'm going to tell you why in a minute.
They didn't screw him. No, financially, he can't complain because Kirk Cousins got paid very, very well to play quarterback in the NFL. He got paid fine.
And, you know, for all those who say that he's an elite quarterback, think back to 2 years ago when the Redskins were, you know, within a stone's throw of making the playoffs. 3 games left in the regular season. I think they just had to win 2 of the 3, and they lost 2 of those 3.
Yeah.
And they didn't make the playoffs.
Well, now it's Kirk Cousins. I mean, look, he has his guaranteed contract, so he's laughing all the way to the bank. But like, the Redskins never wanted to say, this is our guy, right? We're going to build a team around him. Because if you were going to do that, you would have gave him a multi-year deal instead of these series of 1-year contracts. But look, he's going to a good team in Minnesota, and we'll see how they do, right? But Minnesota, of all the teams in the league, you know how they are. They're up and down all the time, right?
Yeah, well,
like they're good, and then they're no good, and then they're good again, and then like.
And Mike Zimmer Mike Zimmer really does not like Case Keenum.
Well, he doesn't have him anymore,
no.
So we'll see how he gets along with Cousins. I hope he likes him because he's there for 3 years, that's for sure.
By the way, I think the Redskins are better off with Alex Smith than they were with Kirk Cousins.
I think they're the same. I think. I mean, look, we'll see what kind of offense the Redskins run. Maybe they're going to tailor it around Alex Smith a little bit more. You know.
Now, by the way, the Patriots lost their left tackle, which is actually quite important.
I couldn't believe when I heard the stat. They've only had 2 left tackles in all of the Tom Brady era.
Yeah.
Look, the Patriots are getting gutted a little bit. They're losing guys. You know, they lost Dion Lewis. They lost Danny Amendola. They've lost some pieces. Look, Malcolm Butler, obviously everybody knew he was going to go after what happened in the Super Bowl where they didn't use him.
Mm-hmm.
But look, the Patriots, more than anybody, they'll still be favorites in the AFC East, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like Miami made a bunch of acquisitions, but they're not ready to pass them. Neither are the Jets and neither are the Bills. Maybe the Bills can make some noise. They have a good defense. They have a good team. They were just basically missing a quarterback. So we'll see. Well, we'll see if they get better quarterback play than what they got out of Tyrod Taylor, right?
We will see.
The big acquisition also, another one, was Jimmy Graham going to Green Bay.
Yes. Well, so they got Jimmy Graham, but they lost Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, I think it has big fantasy implications for fantasy football. Like, Jimmy Graham was never used properly in Seattle. Like,
That's true.
They never, because Seattle still doesn't have this vertical passing game. And now he's going to Green Bay, where like Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Graham is an interesting proposition there. That's for sure.
And the Patriots also lost Dion Lewis, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, not that any running backs are ever that important in New England,
Of
because
course
they
not,
never
yeah.
ever use one so much. But I think he's a talented running back who will do well, like, given a chance to be a feature back somewhere. Again, fantasy football, I think Dion Lewis is could be an interesting pickup, when you're drafting. So
Yeah, it's been an exciting week, an interesting week, that's for sure.
yeah, I like all the moves. I think that's like one thing that I always don't understand when I see all these moves is that the NFL is the most successful league. It's the richest league. The owners have all kinds of money. They have the biggest TV contract. The revenue of the NFL is more than any other sport, and yet somehow these players do not have guaranteed contracts. I cannot wrap my head around the fact that somehow the owners just have these players over a barrel. And the NFL Players Association doesn't seem willing or unable to change that circumstance, where all the other pro leagues have guaranteed contracts. These guys are always playing from season to season, wondering if they're going to get released.
Yeah, it is a little strange.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that I know you listened. I just wanted to give a shout out to a podcast that I was a guest on this week.
I did listen.
Yeah.
You were great.
Yes. Yeah. So Gerald Glassford is some guy actually that I just met randomly on Facebook in a podcast group. And he was looking for someone to come on his show to talk about March Madness. So I did. And we had a great time. So the show is called Pop Culture Cosmos. It actually has nothing to do with sports. They're like a kind of geek show where they talk about pop culture, sci-fi, a lot of video games, movies, TV shows, whatever's going on in the kind of the world of entertainment. And basically he's a big sports fan, so he wanted to do a segment on March Madness. So I was happy to come on and give my thoughts on the bracket. So
well, he's in ninth place in our pool.
Yeah, he's doing okay. Yeah. So anybody looking for to get their fix of podcasts about kind of sci-fi, video games, movies, and that stuff, check out the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
I see the potential for basically like another Netflix kind of paradigm shift where here comes this other major player. They have a ton of resources. Apple could change the way that entertainment is consumed.
They say it's the only time this year that you'll have stars from each brand battling each other, and we know it's not going to be the case, but they like to say that, and more power to them, I guess.
Well, it's a big first step, bringing all those superheroes together. There were definitely some parts of the movie that I really enjoyed, and then there were some parts that I thought just kind of fell short of expectation.
Part of it has to be something to do with how it's being promoted, and this is a thing where audiences do not agree with critics.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse, every week on the Podcast Radio Network and Apple Podcasts.
And over a dozen of your favorite streaming and podcasting options.
What else you got? Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
I'm going to sign off. I'm going to do the close.
Let's do the show close.
Remember, before we sign off, you can listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Skip and Josh podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, any podcast app of your choice. And if you listen through Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. Send us an email. We have tried to make an effort to do listener mail every episode, which we didn't do this episode, but we'll try to do that next time. So skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. You can tweet to us at skipandjosh, or like and follow our Facebook page. And you can get all the links to everything that I just told you on our website, skipandjosh.com.
Excellent.
All right. I'll talk to you next time.
Yeah,
Great talking to you, Josh.
Okay,
and
you too.
enjoy the rest of March Madness.
I will.
The Skip and Josh podcast is over now. Don't worry, there'll be another episode soon.